By the time the Yamen runners came to nail the notice onto the ancestral hall gate, summer was already sliding downhill. The rice in the lower fields bowed heavy with grain. Mulberry leaves yellowed at the edges. In the scrub under the hill, crickets shrilled as if they knew their season was brief and meant to spend it shouting. Ming was crouched in the ditch, bare feet sunk in mud, coaxing a green katydid onto his finger when the hammering began. Thok. 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 He looked up. 2 men in blue cotton coats stood at the red gate. One pressed a thick sheet of paper flat. The other drove nails through its corners, sleeves bound with red cords, as if pinning up a victory banner instead of a demand. "Read it out, Brother Zhao," someone called. The taller runner cleared his throat and boomed. "Proclamation from the Honourable Magistrate of Yongping County. To gladden the hearts of the people and honour the ancient custom of autumn cricket fighting, a grand autumn contest shall be held at the Yamen on the 9th day of the 9th month. Each village shall present 1 tribute cricket. The village whose offering prevails shall receive remission of 1 part in 10 of the autumn tax, together with the magistrate's reward. Villages whose offerings are found weak, cowardly, or shameful," he paused, enjoying himself, "shall expect further instruction." Laughter flickered through the lane, thin and uncertain. Ming felt the word remission lift his chest for a breath. Less tax meant more rice in the jar, but weak and shameful settled harder. He did not need the runner to explain further instruction. Everyone knew. Extra levies, a summons, perhaps a beating to remind them whose season it truly was. Around him stood men with mud drying on their calves, hands cracked from harvest. 1 sheet of paper had made their shoulders dip, almost imperceptibly, as if a wind had passed through the lane and bent them all at once. "Tribute cricket," someone muttered, as if we weren't already sending half the harvest. Ming wiped his hands on his short jacket and edged closer, eyes fixed on the ink. He was only 12 and slow with formal characters, but even he knew remission of tax. He knew weak. He knew shameful. The shorter runner noticed him. "Boy," he said, grin crooked, "where's your village head man?" "At the fields, checking the water." "He'll see it soon enough." The runner slapped the notice flat with his palm. "Tell your elders this. The magistrate loves a good fight. Don't send some half-dead ditch bug to make him yawn." He said it lightly. His eyes did not. They left in a clatter of sandals, blue coats swinging, the sour smell of wine trailing behind them. The lane emptied in slow murmurs. Ming stayed where he was. A cricket big enough to lighten a winter. A cricket dangerous enough to anger a man who could order a flogging without standing up. He imagined the Yamen courtyard lit with candles, bowls of ash lined in rows. The magistrate high above them in embroidered silk, watching tiny bodies collide for his amusement. Behind him, beyond the houses, the field under the hill shimmered in the heat. The crickets sang on. They did not know someone had written their fate. That night his father returned late, shoulders powdered white from the upper fields, jaw set tight. Liane placed rice and pickled greens before him without a word. She waited until he had swallowed 3 mouthfuls. "What did they say?" Li Jian let out a short breath. "What do you think? The county wants tribute crickets, the magistrate wants a spectacle, the elders want to please him, and someone must carry it." Liane's chopsticks tightened. The rice was coarse, the broth thin. Yet he spoke as if even this could vanish. His gaze shifted to Ming, who was eating too quickly. "They chose a man from our lane," Li Jian said. "Someone who caught crickets in his youth. Someone who will bow low if things go badly." Liane's chopsticks stopped. "If we win," Li Jian continued evenly, "heaven will be praised and the magistrate thanked. If we lose, if our cricket turns and shows its belly, our household will be named before the Yamen." He met Ming's eyes. "And if the magistrate is displeased, no one should be surprised if next spring's land measurement finds our strip smaller." Ming's chopsticks slipped. A grain of rice struck the bowl. "So whose household?" he asked. Li Jian smiled, thin and brief. "Ours." The room felt smaller. Outside, someone shouted at a dog. In the scrub under the hill, the crickets sang without pause. "You still go to the field under the hill?" his father asked. Ming nodded. "Good," Li Jian set his bowl down with care. "Tomorrow at first light, we go together. If the magistrate wants a fighter, we will find one." He paused. "And we will pray it is enough." Ming had never heard that edge in his father's voice before. Not tired, not resigned, but cornered. For the first time, the field under the hill did not feel like his secret place. It felt like a wager. And they would feel the first cut if the bet went wrong. They set out before the morning mist had thinned. Li Jian corked the jar and held it close against his chest, the clay warm from his palms. "Got in." For a moment he did not move, as if afraid the earth might take back what it had given. Ming followed with a woven basket and a stick tipped in horsehair. "Why so early?" Ming yawned as they walked the narrow path between paddies. "Crickets sing louder at night." "Loud ones die young," his father said. "The true fighters sleep late. They let the fools shout themselves hoarse in the dark, then take the field at dawn." Beyond the terraces, the land flattened into a scrubby stretch under a low ridge. Mist clung to the furrows. Ming's favourite willow leaned over the ditch, thin branches dripping. Halfway across the field, Li Jian stopped. He tilted his head and closed his eyes. For a moment he stood so still that Ming imagined roots pushing from his bare feet into the damp soil. "There," Li Jian said at last, pointing toward a low mound of drier earth. "Listen." The fields rasped and clicked in layered chorus. But beneath it ran a slower, deeper note, a single thread drawn through the noise, plucked with unhurried certainty. "That one?" Ming whispered. "Do you hear how he waits?" his father said softly. "He sings after the others spend themselves." They crouched and moved carefully. At the mound the sound deepened, but the singer remained hidden. Li Jian pressed the horsehair stick into Ming's hand. "Stir the grass, not too near. Tease him. Anger, not fear." Ming brushed the horsehair lightly through the grasses. The surrounding chirps faltered, as though the field itself were holding breath. The deeper note cut through the hush, sharp now. "Again," Li Jian breathed. Ming drew the horsehair closer. A rustle, a flicker at the mouth of a hole no wider than a coin. Two slender antennae tasted the air. The cricket emerged. Larger than most, polished brown body, thick black jaws, forelegs banded and powerful. Even in the pale light it seemed taut, like an arrow drawn but not yet loosed. "He's beautiful," Ming whispered. "Hold your breath," Li Jian said. "Don't shadow him." He knelt. With one swift movement he thrust the spade behind the cricket, cutting off retreat, and with 2 fingers scooped it forward into the jar. The insect struck the clay with a hollow knock, legs flailing, jaws snapping. Li Jian corked the jar and held it close against his chest. "Got in." Only then did Ming realize he had stopped breathing. "Is he the one?" he asked. "Will he beat the others?" "He's a beginning," Li Jian said. "We'll see what spirit he carries." Li Jian built the training cage from thin bamboo strips, smoothed and fitted tight. The floor he lined with fine sand. A gourd shell became a water dish. Feed was mixed with care: broken millet, ground soybean, a smear of sesame, a pinch of red pepper to wake his courage. Ming watched as the cricket was eased into its new quarters. Lian stood in the doorway, arms folded. "You fuss over it like a child." "A child won't pay the magistrate," Li Jian said, not looking up. That night, when the frogs and river had taken over the dark, Ming heard his father's voice near the cage. "Easy, General," Li Jian murmured. So it had a name. Training was not simply feeding, it was watching. Each morning, Li Jian tapped the bamboo lightly and studied the response. If it sprang forward, antennae wide, Li Jian nodded once, sharply, as though acknowledging a fellow soldier. If it froze or tried to burrow, something in his gaze dimmed, and he would sit longer beside the cage than necessary, watching. He tested the bite with straw. Clean snap. He brushed its side with a feather and timed how long it took to recover. "He has spirit," Li Jian said one evening, unable to hide a crooked smile. He has no idea what we've placed on him, Lian replied. Ming no longer thought of it as a burden. At night he slept by the doorway, to hear the richer note of General's song rising above the thinner field voices. One afternoon, while his parents sorted dried beans in the back room, Ming crouched by the cage and watched the cricket groom its antennae. "It isn't fair," he whispered. "They'll make you fight because they like to shout. But if you win," he whispered, "we won't hear Mother counting grain at night." The cricket paused, head lifted. "I wish I could help you." He tapped a bamboo slat. General lunged and bit the bar, mandibles clacking. Ming laughed softly. "You're not afraid." He did not see his father, standing in the doorway. Li Jian watched the boy's hand resting on the cage. The fingers curved gently, as if over something fragile and already half lost. He had known men whose fortunes rose on wings like this, and fell just as quickly. Favour was wind through dust. It lifted what it pleased. Still, when the deep note of General's song filled the courtyard, he allowed himself a small, dangerous hope. They tested him in the alley behind the wine shop. 2 crickets in a shallow clay bowl dusted with ash. A goose feather to urge them forward. No touching once begun. First to retreat or freeze, lost. General stood quiet at first, antennae loose, while his opponent, lean and restless, hopped and flared. Then, at the faintest provocation, General moved. Not wild. Precise. A diagonal leap beneath the guard. Jaws clamped. A steady shove. The opponent toppled. The boys whistled. "Good catch, Li Jian." "Lucky field," he replied. The boy helped. They won a few copper coins, a handful of dried melon seeds, nothing large, just enough. Within days the lane hummed with talk. By week's end, old Huang came himself, robes gathered from the dust, to watch. "So this is our champion," the headman said, peering into the bowl. "He doesn't look like much." Li Jian bowed slightly. "We're still testing him." "Then test him properly," Huang jerked his chin. "Call in the Liu's boys." The Liu brothers arrived with a gourd cage, worn smooth by years of handling. They coaxed out their fighter. The alley cooled. It was nearly the length of Ming's thumb, dark as lacquer, spined legs thick and cruel. It moved slowly, not cautious, but accustomed. "This one's from the river reeds," the elder Liu said. "Duck yolk, lamb fat." They lowered both crickets into the ash. For a breath, nothing. Then General stepped forward. Ming stopped breathing. The larger cricket chirped once, short, dismissive. Low voices rose behind Ming. "Too risky. We must know. The county will send worse." Li Jian's hand trembled only once before steadying. The feather dipped. A stroke under General. A brush against the other. Antennae flared. General lunged. They collided. Ash burst upward. Ming saw fragments. Jaws locked, legs tangled, bodies heaving. General seized a foreleg and drove, but the heavier insect twisted, forcing him sideways. For one terrible heartbeat, General tipped. "Hold," Ming whispered. General shifted. Higher grip, neck joint. Clamp. The dark cricket convulsed, then rolled. Stillness. The alley erupted. The Liu brothers swore, then laughed. "Devil bug," one said. "Guard him well." Old Huang thumped Li Jian's shoulder. "Good," he said. "The magistrate will remember this." At home, Lian wiped ash from General's legs with a damp cloth. "He's still a cricket," she muttered. "When the officials tire of him, he'll return to dust." Li Jian watched the creature groom itself, meticulous and tireless. "Maybe," he said. But he did not sound certain. It was the 15th night of the 7th month. The moon hung low and swollen. The house held heat like a kiln. Ming lay by the door, sweat slick on his back. General's song cut through the dark, louder than usual, urgent. "Quiet," Ming muttered. The rast continued. Then Ming smelled it, sharp, green, metallic. He sat up. courtyard shadows were wrong. He slipped out the gate. The field under the hill glowed pale. Fireflies drifted. The wild chorus swelled and fell. Someone was sitting on the boundary stone. Small, bent, watching. As Ming stepped closer, moonlight caught pale skin. Eyes gleamed too bright. He should have run. He didn't. "Uncle?" he tried. The figure chuckled, dry as paper. "Listening," he said. "Can you hear them?" "Yes." "They sing harder when frost comes." His head tilted. "You have one who sings louder than most." "General," Ming said before he could stop himself. "Ah," a thin smile. "You named him. Then you are already entangled." Ming bristled. "He helps my family." "And if he fails?" Ming had no answer. The figure stepped down. Up close, he was wrong in subtle ways. Limbs too thin, head too large, eyes catching light that wasn't there. "Do you know what becomes of the finest fighters?" he asked. "They win." For a while. The wind shifted. Then cold. Ming swallowed. "Everything dies." Not everything. The figure's fingers flexed, soil clinging dark beneath his nails. Some things linger. He drew out a small gourd, polished smooth, uncorked it. A thin chirp cut through the night. Sharper than the rest. "I once owned a king," the stranger said. 3 summers unbeaten. Men wagered coin, land, blood. "What happened?" "Winter." A shrug. But he was not finished biting. The stranger tapped the gourd. "A shard remains, hunger without season." He extended it. "Your general is good, but he is still only of this year. If you would have him carry more than his own strength." He let the sentence hang. Ming stared. The scent from the gourd was dry, iron sweet. "What do you want?" he asked. A pleased flicker crossed the stranger's face. "Nothing tonight. Too easy." "And if I refuse?" "Then you wonder," the stranger said gently. "In some thin winter to come, you will lie awake and wonder." The night seemed to lean closer. Ming saw his father's face, his mother counting grain, General throwing himself against larger jaws. He reached. The gourd was warm. "What must I do?" "Open the cage," the stranger said. "Let them meet." He stepped backward onto the stone. "Who are you?" Ming asked. "Only one who listened too long." The outline thinned. "Go, boy." Ming blinked. The stone was empty. The courtyard looked unchanged when he climbed back over the low wall. Cracked jars by the door, the worn broom leaning where it always had. But the night felt thinner. The bamboo cage vibrated with sound. General sang at full strength, notes hard and unbroken. "I'm back," Ming whispered. "Hush." He knelt and unwrapped the gourd. In the lamplight seeping under his parents' door, the carved leaves looked dull, harmless. When he pulled the lid free, the thin, piercing chirp slipped out again. General stopped. The silence struck harder than the sound. Outside, the wild chorus went on, distant now, like rain behind shutters. Ming unlatched the bamboo door. General crouched inside, antennae trembling. "It's all right," Ming murmured. "Just a friend." His hands shook as he tipped the gourd. Nothing fell. No dust, no insect. The air inside the cage thickened. The faint inner chirp snapped off. General reared. For one sickening heartbeat, Ming thought he had killed him. The cricket toppled, legs thrashing, then curled tight. "General," Ming thrust a finger inside. Jaws snapped. Pain flared. He jerked back, biting down on the cry rising in his throat. Blood welled bright on his skin. General righted himself. Slowly, he turned. Antennae swept once, and fixed. For the first time, Ming had the unsettling sense that the insect was not merely reacting. It was measuring. General took 3 deliberate steps toward the open door. Paused. Mandibles clicked. Once. Twice. Then he sang. The same body, but the note had weight now. Layered. It vibrated in Ming's teeth. "General?" he whispered. The cricket gave a shorter rasp, almost an answer, then turned away and began cleaning his legs with careful calm. Ming pressed his bleeding finger to his tongue. Rust. Bittergrass. He closed the cage gently. Inside, the song settled into a steady pulse, like something counting. The days uncoiled hot and bright. General ate more. Snapped faster. His song deepened. What had once been sharp and clean now carried something beneath it, not louder, but denser. When he sang at night, the hedges fell quiet, one by one, until only his thread remained. Ming lay awake, listening. Sometimes, in the thin space between sleep and waking, the courtyard dissolved. Ash underfoot, air thick with scent, a body low to the ground. For a breath, he would feel the urge to lunge. Then he would jolt awake, heart hammering. "You're thinking too much of that bug," Leanne said when he spoke of the dreams. "Your eyes fix on something, your mind follows. Tomorrow you weed beans. Let the crickets mind themselves." He nodded. Still, he drifted back to the cage whenever he could. Lijian said nothing of spirits, but he watched. When no one noticed, he held his hand a finger's breadth from the slats, not touching, as if testing heat from a flame he could not see. The day of the county contest arrived between 2 breathless nights. At dawn, dust rose in the village lane. Old Huang wore his best robe, the one whose cloud pattern had faded the least. He had oiled his thinning hair and twisted it tight beneath his cap. Behind him, 2 youths carried the bamboo cage on a padded tray, walking as if they bore something sacred. Lijian followed, hands empty. His shoulders were not. Ming kept close at his side, careful not to meet the villagers' eyes. "Look straight," Lian had told him. "However they shout today, tomorrow you still live among them." He had nodded. He did not look left or right. The county town appeared by mid-morning. White walls, tiled roofs, the red yamen gate already flung open. Lanterns hung, though the sun was high. The contest was held in the old granary. Ash bowls lined long, green-covered tables. Gourd cages stood beside each one. Smoke, sweat, wine, and anticipation thickened the air. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat the magistrate. Younger than Ming had imagined. Smooth-faced, beard thin but disciplined. Robe embroidered with waves and a beast, Qilin perhaps. A folding fan rested near his hand. He did not look bored. He looked entertained. A gong struck. The noise dipped. "By order of Magistrate Shu," the herald called, "the contest begins. 3 victories to reach the final. Withdrawers will be recorded." Recorded. The word settled in Ming's stomach. Villagers stepped forward one by one, names called, fighters displayed. Judges inspected them with the cold attention of men pricing livestock. When East Willow Village rang out, Old Huang nudged Li Jian. "Stand straight." Li Jian bowed and placed General's cage on the cloth. Ming saw his reflection faintly in the curve of the bamboo. The examining judge was narrow-eyed, smelling faintly of ink. "In good flesh," he said. "Not soft, not starved. Age?" "This season, honoured sir." A brush scratched paper. The judge moved on. "East Willow Village versus North Slope Hamlet." Li Jian lifted General into the ash. Opposite him waited a yellow-brown cricket, restless, lean. Its owner grinned. "Let's see your hillbug dance." "Begin." The feather dipped. The yellow cricket lunged first, wild, snapping. General stepped aside. Effortless. The yellow's bite met air. General struck once. Foreleg seized. Push. 3 heartbeats. The yellow toppled. Win for East Willow. Murmurs rose. Old Huang's hand thudded against his thigh. Good, don't swell. Second map. A squat, dark brute. It attacked without rhythm, legs flailing. Twice General had to retreat. Once he slipped. Ming's mouth went dry. Hold, he breathed. General changed. He began circling. Let the brute chase. Let it waste itself. Ash kicked up. The dark cricket lunged, overreached. General darted. Antenna seized. Yank. The brute crashed sideways. Win. This time, the murmurs were louder. Ming felt eyes on them. By the semi-finals, men pointed before names were called. That one from East Willow. He's taken 2 clean. Look at how he waits. Ming wished they would stop speaking. At the far end of the hall, Magistrate Chu leaned forward. Fan forgotten. The next match, the herald called, voice carrying. East Willow Village against the entry of Master Wu, steward of the County Yamen. A ripple passed through the hall. The steward's man stepped forward, thin, neat, silk-wrapped box in his hands. When he opened it, the murmur deepened. The cricket that emerged was black as lacquer, broad, heavy. Still, it did not hop. It did not chirp. It stood. Testing the ash. City bred, someone whispered. Capital stock. Fed on lamb and egg yolk. Old Huang's lips thinned. We cannot withdraw, he murmured. Not now. Ming looked toward the platform. The magistrate was watching openly now. Li Jian inhaled once. He placed General in the bowl. For the first time, Ming thought he looked small. 3rd round, the judge said. Begin. The black cricket lunged like a thrown stone. Li Jian's feather barely brushed General before the collision. The impact made Ming's teeth ache. Ash burst upward, swallowing them both. Through the grey cloud, Ming saw fragments. Glossy back, brown leg, mandibles locked. The black cricket drove forward. Wait. Relentless. General's hind legs scraped for purchase. The rim of the bowl loomed behind him. 1 step more. Retreat. Defeat. Hold, Ming whispered. But the hall was already fading. The scrape of ash filled his ears. The smell of dust and sweat thickened. The black mass in front of him was enormous. Jaws. Weight. Crushing. Not him. Me. The thought surfaced without asking whose it was. Bite the neck. Twist. Not push. Turn. General shifted. Outside, watchers saw only a change of angle, the brown body slipping beneath the black's force. Inside the blur, Ming felt the yield of softer joint beneath his jaws. A crack. Dry. Iron sour taste. The black cricket convulsed. Hind legs beat the air. General held. Then the weight vanished. The black body fell sideways. Still. Silence took the hall. Then a roar. The neck. Look at the neck. The judge bent, inspected, straightened. Win for East Willow Village. Steward defeated. On the platform, Magistrate Chu stood. Bring that one closer, he said lightly, pointing with his fan. I would see it. Ming sagged. The bowl beneath his hands seemed distant, far below him. Breathe, his father said, gripping his shoulder. The hall rushed back. Smoke, voices, silk, ink. In the bowl, General stood in the centre, ash dusting his legs. Listening. For a breath, Ming was certain those bead black eyes were fixed on him. Then General clicked his mandibles once and resumed grooming. The final came quickly. The last challenger, the herald cried, Windstep of Willow Ford Hamlet. Windstep was lean, long-limbed, tea-coloured. It moved lightly, almost playfully. It tires its foes, someone murmured. Ming's shirt clung to his back. You can do no more than you have done, Lian's voice echoed in memory. General entered the bowl again. Final match. No second chances. Feather dipped. Windstep darted. Left. Right. Feint. Ash puffed. General matched him, but did not commit. They circled. The hall grew quiet. Even the magistrate's fan stilled. Why doesn't yours strike? He's waiting. Windstep lunged. Clash. Break. Clash. Break. The bowl rang faintly each time. The pressure built again. That invisible string. Not this time, Ming thought. Let him fight alone. His fingers clenched the table edge. In the bowl, General hesitated. Barely. Windstep saw it. Leaped. Jaws aimed clean at General's neck. Ming knew. If that bite landed... Winter. His father, bowing low. The string inside him pulled so tight it hurt. His hand brushed the empty cage. The world inverted. Ash underfoot. The bowl's rim a low horizon. Windstep airborne. Jaws wide. Move. He did not retreat. He dove forward and under, scraping ash across his underside. Windstep snapped at air. Pivot. Drive. He struck the exposed belly. Jaws closed. This time the taste was dry. Husk. Dust. But beneath it, that same dark relief. Bite. Hold. Do not release. Windstep thrashed. Legs beat uselessly. Men shouted somewhere far away. Ming bit harder. The struggle slowed. Stopped. He stood over the limp body, ash rising in faint clouds around him. Sound crashed back. He was Ming again. Hands gripping wood so hard they trembled. "Winner!" the judge cried. "Cricket King, East Willow Village." The hall erupted. Magistrate Shu laughed. Genuine this time. "Marvellous," he said. "Bring him here." Li Jian bowed low, lifting the bowl. On the platform, the magistrate leaned close. So small, he mused, yet it slays those twice its weight. A pleasing emblem. His gaze travelled the hall until it found Li Jian. "Village?" "East Willow, Your Honour. Li Jian, tenant farmer under Lord Lu." "You have done well. 1/10 tax remission. 5 strings of cash." A gasp rippled through the granary. 5 strings. The scribe's brush scratched. "And have the Cricket King sent to my study after the exhibition tonight," the magistrate added casually. "I shall enjoy his song." The words dropped softly. They landed heavily. Old Huang nearly shook Li Jian's arm from its socket. "We're saved." Saved. Ming barely heard. On the platform, General stood at the centre of the bowl. Ash clung to his legs. His antennae tilted at that faint, unnatural angle. Not weary. Not proud. Watching. For a breath, Ming saw himself reflected there. Small, dust-covered, crouched in a bowl not his own. Then the magistrate snapped his fan open. The moment shattered. That night, East Willow celebrated. A chicken was slaughtered, a jar of 5-year wine unearthed from a field corner. Even those who had muttered about wasting good daylight on a bug now clapped Li Jian the shoulders and called Ming lucky. Old Huang drank deeply. "Magistrate's favour," he declared. "Tax remission. And next time the river rises, he'll remember us." Lian smiled and poured. Her eyes never left her son for long. Ming laughed when spoken to, bowed when toasted. But his voice came from somewhere slightly beside him. When the last neighbour stumbled home and only the smell of wine remained, Ming sat on the threshold and stared at the moon. Li Jian lowered himself beside him. "We did it," he said. "We did." Silence settled. Then Ming felt it. The absence. "There's no song," he said. Li Jian listened. Mulberry leaves whispered, frogs croaked, wild crickets rasped in the fields. But the space beside their door, the space that had pulsed every night, was empty. They took him this afternoon, Li Jian said quietly. He's in the magistrate's study now. Ming imagined lacquer and silk, a polished table, a carved box, far from ash. Will they make him fight again? He asked. Perhaps his honor only wants to hear him sing, Li Jian said. Or perhaps he will tire of him, as men do, and sweep him away with the dust. He meant to sound light. He did not. That night, Ming dreamed of ash, of weight, of jaws closing. He woke with the taste of husk in his mouth. The summons came 3 days later. A yarman runner stood at the gate, bamboo strip in hand. By order of Magistrate Shu, he read, the Cricket King shall give exhibition on the mid-autumn night. The owner is to attend. Failure will be noted. He looked up. Your Li Jian? Yes. The magistrate entertains a guest from the neighbouring county. That gentleman brings his own champion. A pause. His honour wishes a match. Dust swirled when the runner left. Lian did not hide her anger. We gave them what they wanted, she said, striking the pot harder than needed. If this goes wrong, will they blame their guest or us? We cannot refuse, Li Jian said. If we hide, it is disobedience. If we go and lose, at least we stood where we were told. And if the cricket dies, she pressed, if they tear it apart for sport? Li Jian did not answer immediately. It is no longer ours, he said at last. They will do as they wish. Ming felt those words land like a door closing. When the house slept, Ming stepped into the yard. He knelt where the cage had stood. The earth there felt wrong. For weeks, the air had thrummed faintly in that place, as if bamboo and dirt remembered sound. Now it was only dirt. Can you hear me? He whispered. The wind answered. Frogs. Distant rasping from the hill. I'm scared, he said. The memory came unbidden, ash beneath him, weight above, the crunch of the armour between his jaws. He swallowed. I don't want to be in the bowl again. The words felt foolish, but they were true. If I don't, if you lose. He bowed his head to the packed earth. He did not know what he was praying to. The mid-autumn festival drew half the county to town. Lanterns lined the streets, red, round, painted with rabbits and pines. Vendors shouted over skewers of meat and sugar hawthorns. Children darted under elbows, faces sticky with syrup. The exhibition platform stood before the Yamen gate, draped in red. 2 tables, 2 ash bowls. Behind one, General, in his bamboo cage. Behind the other, a tall, narrow-faced man in dark robes, cradling a lacquered box. That must be the guest, Lian murmured. Look how he stands. Ming said nothing. A gong sounded. Magistrate Shu emerged in silk brighter than before, jade at his waist. Beside him walked another official in green. In honour of the moon, the magistrate called, smiling broadly. A diversion. The crowd cheered. The visitor bowed faintly. River Flame, he said, when he opened his box. The cricket that stepped out was deep red-brown, long-limbed, precise. It chirped once, clear and bright. He has not lost, the official added. Old Huang muttered something under his breath. Li Jian stood by General's bowl, feather in hand. Begin, said the judge. The first clash was too fast to follow. River Flame struck first. A sharp crack of shell. General staggered. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Ming's chest tightened immediately. River Flame did not rush blindly. It tested, probed, feinted left, then right, forced General to turn to defend. Ash rose. General slipped once, gasps. Bite him, Ming whispered. The invisible cord inside him pulled tight. General lunged, missed. River Flame twisted away. Antennae flicked, amused. Not yet, something seemed to breathe inside Ming's skull. Sweat stung his eyes. The lanterns blurred. The crowd dissolved. Ash underfoot, heat. The red body before him was close, quick, clever. I don't want this, Ming thought. The world tipped anyway, brightness at the rim, grey at his feet. River Flame came low, aiming for his foreleg. No words now. Only angle. He slid left instead of back, turning the motion into a shove. Mandibles scraped shell. Hot pain flared. They broke apart, clashed again, and again. Each strike rang through him. A terrible exhilaration surged beneath the fear. Here there was no magistrate, no tax, no village watching, only bite or fall. Somewhere above, a boy's voice begged, "Stop." He sprang. This time he met River Flame head-on but angled, letting their jaws slide instead of lock. There, the seam between neck plates. He drove in. River Flame thrashed. Hind legs hammered his flank. Something in his shell cracked. He bit harder. The taste flooded his mouth, bitter, hot, alive. The struggle weakened, slowed, stopped. He held one heartbeat longer, then released. The bowl blurred. He was falling backward. Noise slammed into him. His breath tore in and out. His knees buckled. Li Jian caught him. "Easy." "Winner," cried the judge. "The Cricket King prevails." The square erupted. Magistrate Shu laughed aloud. "Marvellous," he said. "Blessed indeed." The visiting official bowed stiffly. "I concede." River Flame lay broken. The magistrate glanced once at the body. "Remove it," he said lightly. "Bring the king inside." The words were casual. The command was not. The clerk lifted General and carried him through the red gate. Ming watched. Something in his chest tightened, not triumph. Loss. He swayed. "You're pale," Leon said, cool hand against his cheek. "We're leaving." But Ming's eyes stayed on the gate. The red doors closed, and for the first time, the victory felt like a surrender. The price came due before the lanterns burned out. Back in their courtyard, Leon set a bowl of congee before Ming and told him to eat slowly. He tried. By the third mouthful, the world tilted. The spoon slipped. The bowl shattered on the hard-packed earth. "Ming?" He didn't answer. Heat tore through him. Not the warmth of summer. This was furnace heat, coals packed into bone. His body jerked, stiff and sharp, like something caught and pinned. His teeth ground so hard Leon heard the sound. "Cold cloth," Li Jian said, but his voice broke on the first word. "Water. Wake Auntie Jo." "There's no doctor," Leon said, already moving, hands shaking so badly she nearly dropped the basin. "We have only what we have." She knelt beside her son. His skin burned under her palms. His lips moved. Too heavy. Legs. Ash. Leon bent closer, straining to hear. He was not speaking to her. His hands clawed at the air. For a moment, a brief stabbing moment, she saw something wrong in the shape of his fingers. Not fewer joints, not truly, but wrong, as if he were forgetting how to be a boy. She pressed his hands down and held them. "You're here," she whispered fiercely. "You're here with me. Stay." His father hovered uselessly, then seized a cloth and dipped it again, wringing it too hard. Li Jian knew heat. He knew how to read a sky before rain, how to judge soil by touch, how to pull a calf from a dying cow. He did not know how to pull his son back from whatever this was. He leaned close. "Whoever you are," he said into the thick air, voice low and shaking. "Field spirit, king, hunger, enough." He was not a praying man. He was praying. The night dragged. Ming's body arched once so violently that Leon cried out. She pressed her hand against his chest, as if she could anchor him there by force. "I will not give you," she said under her breath, "to whatever listened. You may take grain. You may take sleep. You will not take him." The cricket song rose, thin, shrill, cutting. There was no cage. The sound came from Ming's throat. Leon's tears fell silently, soaking into the cloth she kept pressing to his skin. Li Jian sat rigid at his son's head, afraid to touch, afraid not to. When the fever finally broke, it did not fade.
It snapped. Heat fled his skin as if some unseen door had opened and let it pour out. He went limp. Too limp. Lian froze. Ming? No answer. She pressed her ear to his chest. Beat, beat. Slow. But there. Her breath shattered into a broken laugh and a sob all at once. When he opened his eyes, they were clear. Human. Water. He croaked. Lian nearly collapsed in relief. Li Jian looked away for a moment, just long enough to wipe his face with the back of his hand. Then beyond the wall, a cricket song, sharp, cut off. Li Jian stood very slowly. "I'll be back," he said. Lian did not ask where. She knew. The field under the hill lay pale under morning mist. Li Jian saw the disturbed earth immediately. Fresh turning, he knelt. His hands were steady now. He brushed the soil aside. General lay curled there, small, still, a crack along his side. Li Jian swallowed. He had not realized, not truly, how much he had come to rely on the little creature. Not for coin, for hope. He covered the cricket gently, more gently than he would cover seed. "Thank you," he said, and it cost him something to say it. "For what you gave, for what you did not take." He almost added, "for returning my son." But the words would not come. When the stranger spoke, Li Jian did not flinch. But when he said, "Your boy spent some nights tossing," Li Jian's hands curled. "You stood there," he said quietly, and listened to him burn. The stranger tilted his head. "He burned," he agreed, "but he did not break." Li Jian stepped closer. "He is 12. That was not an argument. It was an accusation. The stranger did not look away. "And now, he is 12 who has looked into the ball and returned," he said. Li Jian's jaw tightened. "He will remember," he said. "Yes." The word was gentle. That frightened him more than mockery. "And you," the stranger asked softly, "will you remember?" Li Jian thought of the way he had pushed his son forward at the yamen, of the way he had said, "Hold your shoulders straight," of the pride that had flared in him when General killed. He felt something twist under his ribs. "I will," he said. It was not a promise to the stranger. It was a promise to himself. Ming did not remain in East Willow. When he was 18, a travelling trader noticed his neat hands and the way he spoke carefully to customers at the wine stall. The trader offered him a clerk's place in the market town upriver. Li Jian hesitated. Lian wept in the kitchen where she thought no one could see. But they let him go. A son who could read accounts might send silver home in bad years. The town smelled of lamp oil and fried dough instead of rice and mud. At night there were no fields humming beyond the walls, only carts rattling home and shutters knocking in the wind. And yet, on certain still evenings, a cricket would find its way between courtyard stones, or under a broken tile. Its song would rise, thin, steady. The first time Ming heard it, he spilled a bowl of ink. His apprentice laughed and blamed a rat. Ming did not. He stood very still, listening. The sound was ordinary, nothing more than any field might offer. But beneath it lay something older, ash underfoot, the weight of another body in the press of a fight, the taste of brittle shell. He did not fetch a jar. He did not light a lamp to search. He listened until the song wore itself quiet. Then he wiped the ink and went on with his books.
Years later, he had a child of his own, a son with Lian's dark eyes and Li Jian's stubborn chin. The boy learned to run in the narrow alley behind their rented house, knees perpetually scabbed, voice perpetually loud. He liked to chase sparrows and shout at stray dogs as if commanding troops. One late summer evening, thick with heat, he burst through the door, hands cupped together. "Baba, look!" Something shifted between his palms. 2 antennae pushed at the gaps between his fingers. "I caught him by the well," the boy said proudly. "He sings louder than the others. Can we keep him? I'll make a cage." Ming's breath caught. For a heartbeat, the courtyard seemed smaller. The town air thinned into the damp scent of rice fields. He saw a bamboo cage by a poor door. He felt the sharp sting of a bite on his fingertip. "Careful," he said gently. "Don't squeeze." The boy loosened his grip. Can we keep him? He insisted. Ming knelt so they were face to face. No, he said. The boy blinked, startled. Why not? Because he belongs where he can sing and be answered, Ming said. In jars, singers forget how. The boy frowned, thinking hard in the stubborn way that meant he would argue if he did not understand. The tea stall uncle keeps one, he said. Let him, Ming replied quietly. In this house, we let them go. He guided the boy toward the back of the courtyard, where a tuft of grass pushed through cracked paving stones. Open your hands slowly. The boy did. The cricket sat for a brief, stunned moment, then sprang into the grass and vanished. The boy leaned forward. Will he sing again? Yes, Ming said. They waited. From the weeds came a small rasp. The boy grinned. Ming did not smile right away. For an instant, just an instant, he thought he saw someone perched on the low wall. Thin robe, long fingers, head tilted as if listening. He blinked. There was only the wall, the moonlight, and a cat slipping along the roof ridge. Baba, the boy said. Come inside. I'm coming. He followed his son through the doorway. Outside, the cricket sang, not louder than before, not deeper, not kingly, just alive. And that, Ming had learned, was enough.